إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق حديث كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الإمام محمد بن سيرين رحمه الله رحمة واسعة إن هذا العلم دين. Verily this knowledge is deen. فانظروا, look, عمن تأخذون دينكم. So therefore look to the individuals from which you take your deen. إن هذا العلم دين. Verily this ilm, this knowledge is deen. Then look, عمن تأخذون دينكم, regarding those who you take your deen from. This is a lesson that many of us probably have already learned. But Allah Ta'ala tells us, remind them, for reminding benefits a believer. There was a time where many of us was upon misguidance. There was a time where many of us did not know the truth, did not know the correct way, did not know the book of Allah Ta'ala, did not know the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Allah Ta'ala in His infinite wisdom and mercy guided us. And He gave us tools by which when we used them we were able by His blessing to distinguish haqq, the truth, from batil. So it behooves us to still have this situation or circumstance or condition, that we don't listen to everyone who calls to a call, that we don't sit with everyone who has a book in front of them, but we make sure that we take our deen from those who are upon the book of Allah Ta'ala and upon the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and upon the way of the Salaf Salih. This is Muhammad ibn Sirin saying, Inna hadha ilma deenun. This knowledge is deen. What you learn of Islam is your deen. What you practice and what you live is what you will be raised upon on Qiyamah. So this matter is a matter of deen. Be careful who you take your deen from. Before you listen to a tape, before you open a book, before you develop ties of emotion to an individual, know whether or not he's upon kitab, upon sunnah, upon the way of the Salaf Salih. And this matter is not like some people think, fawda, unorganized, confusion. They see that the principles, if they're engineers, that there are principles regarding engineering. And if they're involved in the science of physics, that there's principles regarding physics. And if they're involved in the construction of buildings, then there's a science there. But when it comes to the deen of Allah, it's as if they believe that there's no qawa'id, there's no principles, there's nothing that defines who's right and who's wrong, that somehow we've been left in a state of confusion. This is not the case. For the Salaf Salih and those who are ulama, the scholars, who are the inheritors of the prophets, who are the inheritors companions of the Prophet alayhim salam, they have dawabit and qawaid, principles by which if we follow and if we stick to, we will guide our deen. He, Muhammad Sareen, also said, لم يكونوا يسألون عن الإسناد. We didn't used to ask about the isnad, the chain of transmission. فَلَمَّا وَقَعَتِ الْفِتْنَةِ. But when the fitna occurred, and he's talking here about the fitna between the companions of the Sahaba, which our tongue should be free from mentioning and going in detail regarding. When the fitna occurred, we said, قَالُوا سَمُّوا لَنَا رِجَالَكُمْ. Mention to us your men. Mention to us your men. They didn't used to ask about the chain of transmission. For everyone was upon Kitab and Sunnah and the word of Salaf Salih. They didn't ask about the chain of transmission because everyone's upon the revelation that Allah sent down from the heavens. They didn't ask about its not the chain of transmission because everyone believed in Allah properly and His angels properly and His books and His prophets and His messengers and the last day and the decree properly. They didn't used to ask about the chain of transmission because people are upon Sunnah, now upon Bid'ah. But when the fitna occurred, سَمُّوا لَنَا رِجَالَكُمْ. Mention to us your men. فَيُنْظَرْ. They will look into it. إِلَى أَحْلِ السُّنَّةِ. They will look to the people of Sunnah. The people of Sunnah. The people of Sunnah. فَيُخَذْ حَدِيثُهُمْ. And they would take their narrations. وَيُنْظَرْ. And they will look إِلَى أَحْلِ الْبِدْعَةِ. The people of innovation. The people of desires. The people of deviation. وَلَا يُؤْخَذْ حَدِيثُهُمْ. And they would not take their narrations. That was Ibn Sayyid. In the time of the Tabi'een, that was Ibn Sayyid. In that time, what about in a time now? Full of darkness, full of desires, full of going astray. What about a time now when the Muslims are so far away from what Allah Ta'ala revealed in this book, so far away from what Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his companions were upon, rather in the area of belief, or in the area of their akhlaq, or in the area of their siyasa, or in the area of any other thing. What about now? If they should ask then we foremost and foremost should ask now. Name to us your men before we take from them. Name to us your men before we trust them. Name to us your men before we develop an emotional tie with them, and they therefore can come into our hearts and mislead us. And mislead us. We have to be careful. Why don't you know that the hearts are between the fingers of Ar-Rahman? Why don't you know that you can't guarantee hidayah, guidance for yourself, let alone someone else? Why don't you know someone could be on Huda today and be on darkness tomorrow? You have no connection with that. Your situation is the circumstance of an individual who wants to make it to the Jannah. An individual who wants to please Allah Ta'ala. An individual who wants to be raised upon the Deen of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And you can't do that without being careful, without watching, without being careful. The same concern for those who came to Islam, that they were raised in a society full of Jews and Christians and every other way of life. But they turned away from all of that and came to Islam. That same intelligence, that same understanding, that same concern should not diminish when you come into the Deen of Islam, but rather it should increase. It should increase. It should increase. These are words that we need to take. And the Salaf weren't saying them other than to waste time. They weren't saying it for entertainment. They weren't saying it because they just wanted to be heard. They were saying it having concern for the ummah. This is a matter, this knowledge is a matter of deen. Inna hadha ilmu deenun. Fanzuru an man ta'khuduna deenakum. Look regarding those from who you take your deen. لم يكونوا يسألون عن الإسناد. They did not used to ask about the chain of transmission. فلما وقعت الفتنة. But when the fitna occurred, قالوا, they said, سموا لنا رجالكم. Name to us your men. Name your men. وينظر إلى أهل السنة. They will look to the people of Sunnah. فيؤخذ. They would take their hadith, their narrations, and they would look to Ahlul Bidah, and they would not take their narration. At-tariq, the path, qabla al-rafiq, before your companion. For your companion may sometimes be with you half of the journey, and then half of the way he leaves the path, and then half of the way the journey seems too long. The goal seems too far away. Or for some other reason or wisdom that Allah Ta'ala knows. That's not important whether we know it or not. The tariq, the path, qabla al-rafiq, before your companion. Be careful regarding this issue. For the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has stated that there will always be a ta'ifa, a group, al-haq, upon the truth, victorious, illa qiyam as-sa'ah, to the establish of the hour. They won't be harmed by those, man khadalahum, those who forsake them. If you're going to be in a haq, there are going to be those who will forsake you. If you're going to be in a haq, there will be those who seem that they were your closest of companions and will betray you. If you're going to be in the haq, understand that you're going to be a stranger. If you're going to be on a haq, know that it's a path that Nuh alayhi salam called to for 950 years. And the most of those, according to Mufassirin, who believed in him were 70 people. If you're going to be on a path, know that Yahya lost his head. Know that Zakaria lost his life. Know that Ibrahim was thrown into the fire. If you're going to be on the haq, you have to be rijal. You have to be men. This emotionalism. And what happened to such and such? And what happened to such and such? Malik, you had nothing to do with that. You had nothing to do with fulan or so and so. You have something to do with yourself. You give them nasiha. And then you keep moving along the path. You keep moving along the path. The path of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The path of his companions. The path of the great A'immah. The path of Sufyan Thawri, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Hamad ibn Salama, Ahmad ibn Hanbal. The path of Imam Shafi. And the path of Ibn Baz and the path of Al-Albani. You keep moving along the path. Many might lead you. Many might desert you. But what do you care? For your goal is the Jannah. Your goal is the Jannah. Your goal is for Ahmad alayhi salam to be your neighbor in the paradise. This is a matter of deen. This ilm is a matter of deen. You be careful who you take your deen from. Be careful who you take it from. Don't sit with everybody. Don't read any book. Don't listen to every tape. Be concerned about the quality, not the quantity. Be concerned about the content of the information that you are giving. For this is the advice of those who we shouldn't reject their advice. This is the advice of those who did not have no material benefit in telling us this. This of it is advice of those who were in fact sincere. And Allah Ta'ala is aware of all matters. Walhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyid al-Mursaleen. Wa ba'd. Another matter is a matter of iqbal al-ilm. Rushing to knowledge. Rushing to knowledge. Beneficial knowledge. Al-ilm al-nafi. Beneficial knowledge. Especially the knowledge of the usul of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. For it will be a fortress for you, and a fortress for me, and a fortress for anyone who has the principles of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The matter is not a matter of confusion. It's not a matter left to the desires of men. When it comes to us, a warning against such and such individual from such and such place, by such and such name, from the inheritors of the Prophet, from the inheritors of the prophets, the ulama, may Allah preserve them. It should be from us. Sami'na wa ata'na. We hear and we obey. For we're not the individuals who can distinguish. We're not the individuals who have found rounded knowledge. We're not the individuals who know the book of Allah and its tafsir, who know the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in detail and its explanation, who knows the principles of the sciences of Islam. So when they warn us, it would be stupid, it would be ignorant, and it would be from wrong or incorrect character for us to reject what they say, saying that maybe they have hasad or envy, or maybe the matter is not clear to them, or maybe they're doing this according to their desires. Now we fall into something even worse than we're upon. We're upon ignorance, and now connected to the ignorance, we now connect a mistake to the scholars and go into the intent of the scholars. Where's the respect for specialization that we have in the matters of dunya? Where's the respect to one who spends his whole life learning the book of Allah, learning the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, learning fiqh, learning the tafasir of Quran? Where's the respect? When he speaks, are you to listen? When he speaks, are you to be man and follow? Or it is a matter of emotionalism? Or it is a matter of infancy, of childlike behavior? But I love such and such, no matter what the scholars say about him. Well, he gave me access while I was close to him, while he used to respect me. All of these are nothing but excuses from shaitan. The issue is, if we're like this now, where such and such error from the scholars, from Ahlul Sunnah, can speak about a man, and we still sit with them, how will we be when they warn against the Dajjal? How will we be when they warn against the Dajjal? Yes, I hear them warning against the Dajjal, but let's go and see. Let me sit with him. And you all know the narration, or you all should know, that there will be those who will do so and will enter upon Dajjal in his sittings as a believer and come out following him. Come out following him and be a kafir. And be a kafir. The time is now to take a lesson and to listen to the scholars. The time is now to be men and stand up for the haqq, no matter who it irritates or disturbs. The time is now to show through our mawaqif, through our positions regarding Ahl al-Bidah and regarding the people of Hizbiyah, that we're not for that. That we're on the path of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his companions. And last but not least, Quran and Sunnah Society of North America. One witnesses upon truth. إِلَّا مَنْ شَهِدَ بِالْحَقِّ وَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ. Except those who witness to the truth while they know. Quran and Sunnah Society is an oasis in a desert. Quran and Sunnah Society is surrounded by kuffar from the Yahud and Nasara and every other group. Quran and Sunnah Society is surrounded by Ahl al-Bidah and innovators and hypocrites. And a surrounding that is this dark. It is a source of light. It is both the scholars and the students of the scholars. Where did you meet the students of Albani except for QSS? And where did you meet the students of Uthaymin and Bin Baz except the QSS? So you don't listen to Ghiba. And you don't listen to Namima. And you stay aware of your circumstance. That if you are going to be upon Kitab and Sunnah and the way of Salaf Saleh, that you're going to have enemies. Hey, wallahi, you're going to have enemies. Focus. Focus. The goal is Jannah. Focus. The leader is Muhammad Abdullaah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Focus. The ones we listen to have been heard as the prophet from the scholars. Focus. Anything else we turn away from. Anything else we don't want to hear. We've been through that confusion. We've been through that darkness. And Allah has brought us to light. Don't we want to keep it? Don't we want to keep it? And should we not be the example of believer? That long as the banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah is raised, he supports it. He don't care who raises it. If he's ordered to be in the front, he'll be in the front. If he's ordered to be in the back, he'll be in the back. If he's ordered to be a foot soldier, he'll be a foot soldier. Because his job, his position, his circumstances, one, seeking the pleasure of Allah. Seeking the pleasure of Allah. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وأقيموا الصلاة.